It wasn't the airplanes, it was beauty that killed the beast. Thank you for tuning in to the first Legions review video. This video series will be dedicated to reviews of all things monsters, large and small, horror and sci-fi. I will be reviewing action figures, toys, collectibles, and maybe even a movie or two down the road. So I figured I would start off this series with my favorite movie monster of all time, King Kong. Now this particular figure in the foreground is the SH Monsterarts 8th Wonder of the World Kong, released by Bandai Tamashi Nations in 2013. Now this figure is no longer in production. The only way to get it is a third-party seller, so check eBay, maybe a barter site if you're lucky. Some of the forums online, you may be able to find somebody who's willing to part with it. Facebook sites, pretty much anywhere you can try and get a hold of this character, I highly recommend that you do so. Just a warning, you will be paying quite a bit for him. Probably anywhere from the 125 to 175, maybe if it's used. If it's brand new, some of them are listed on eBay for $300 to $400, new in box. I would recommend getting a used one in great condition. This particular figure that I got on eBay, I paid around $125 minus the shipping. However, it did not come with the stand that is, used to help pose him and everything. But so far, I haven't had too much difficulty getting him poses, getting him to stand and everything. As you can tell, he's doing just fine right there. I've had him in several poses. However, the stand would be nice, and I may eventually try and get one later down the road from another figure. But I do know that the actual stand that came with this one had a claw that would wrap around on both sides of him and kind of do a cradle to where he wouldn't fall over so easily, which would be good because I have heard that this figure is very fragile. I've seen several people on the forums posting that their arm joints have broken, that they haven't been able to repair them. I have not had any issues, but then again, I haven't really posed him very much, and I'm very careful with all of my figures. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of go over his articulation. So first off, his head does swivel from side to side. Not very much room. And that is because on the back here, you can tell with his head, it does not allow for much movement going side to side. However, the figure's head does move up quite a bit, and that is so you can pose him to where he is on all fours, which I'm sorry I'm not going to do right now because it is a huge pain in the ass to do. And honestly, I have not been able to get him into a pose on all fours that I have liked. So the head has good, movement, from up and down, but like I said, it does move very well from side to side. The arms are great. They're going to move backward. Like I said, I'm going to be very careful with this figure. I have heard that the arms and everything can break. So, so far, no issues whatsoever. Can swivel down and everything. The elbow has a really nice bend to it. So, as far as the arms, no complaints whatsoever. You can get him in all sorts of poses. I've had him in some that makes him look like he's in a chest beating. Looks really nice. And like I said, you can get him on all fours, but he does look a little awkward. He does kind of rotate around the chest. Moves around very nicely. And I have heard that this can pop off, but it is really easily attached, so just be very careful. Then when it comes to the legs, I have noticed that here at the hips it is very restricted, and I am kind of afraid I'm going to break it. So you can turn it from side to side. You can kind of pull him in and out to kind of help him stand a little more. It has a slight bend at the knee. It's very good. And then also his ankles go up and down. And also, he has a toe hinge. So you can kind of curl his toes slightly. Like I said, I'm being very careful with this guy because he's one of my prized collections, but you can bend them down. Helps him stand a little bit, I guess. That goes from both sides. The toes go down. And then you got the Kong logo down here on the bottom. Just gonna get that focused in a little bit. There we go. So, as far as articulation goes, it's really good, but like I said, it is kind of stiff, so I would be really, really careful. You don't want to break this guy, especially if you paid quite a bit for him. And with his heads, something really nice is he does have interchangeable heads, which we'll go over here in a minute whenever I talk about his accessories. So, anyway, that is his articulation for the most part. Like I said, very stiff, so be really careful, but he will hold his poses, so that is always awesome. So now we're going to go ahead and take a look at his accessories. So diving down into these, he has 3 different interchangeable heads. The first head that I had whenever I actually got him, this is the one he came with, I believe. This is kind of a stoic look. You know, he's got the jagged tooth, looks really nice. And his eyes just look great. They have a great amount of detail. They are kind of reddish, which is awesome. Kind of gives him a really fierce look. And he has this really nice scarring on the side of his face. Kind of has a glistening to it. Makes it look like it was a fresh wound, like it's still bleeding. I have used this head to pose. It looks really nice on the shelf. So that's probably my second favorite. I do, however, like his angry face a little bit more. Just the amount of detail in his face is just insane. And the inside of his mouth, I mean, the way his teeth are painted just look great. They just look grungy and just nasty, like he needs a good brushing. The tongue just looks great. I absolutely just love the sculpt and the paintwork on this face. And I've not had any issues with the paint whatsoever, and I have had some issues with the paint on some of my Godzilla figures not being consistent. So now we're going to talk about the second face, which is my least favorite. It's this kind of playful monkey face. I am not a fan of this one. I'm kind of glad that they included it, just because why not? But this was to go after the look whenever he was messing with Anne in the 2005 movie, when she was trying to entertain him and he was kind of laughing and chuckling at her. Just kind of making the monkey sounds and everything, but he is a gorilla, not a monkey. He has the scarring on all 3 heads, looks great. Even though I don't like this head, I do think it's sculpted very well. I mean, the mouth looks great, and the eyes and everything are just awesome. So, there's his heads. Also, we have several hands that comes with it. He has a couple grip hands. Got one for each side. And to go in the grip hand, for some reason, they included a stick. Now, I realize to him it's a stick, but to us it's a giant log. But it's a stick. Doesn't really look good with him holding it. It just kind of looks, So, I have not used it. It's honestly sat in the box since I've had it. A couple of the other hands, he does have a couple open hands, which are good for posing. And they have a really nice paint job on there. The bottom of the hands looks really leathery, just awesome. And he, like I said, he's got both sides. Then he also has this set of hands, which is very interesting, and it really bums me out that I can't get him in a on all fours pose. Because he's got these knuckles to where they're flat on the ground, so when he's walking on all fours, it looks really good. However, like I said, I haven't really been able to get him into a good pose on all fours. Just his feet do not want to stay down, and they just look kind of awkward. So, the last hand that it came with was a hand with Anne Darrow, which, I mean, it looks good. She doesn't have a whole lot of detail on her, but I mean, come on, it's like a half-inch long little figure, so didn't expect it to look that great. But I mean, it is kind of nice to have. You can just kind of put him in her hand, or put her in his hand, and have him carrying her for poses and everything. which I guess is cool. I mean, I'm not going to use it. I just kind of like to have him standing there looking menacing. So that's pretty much it for his accessories. Like I said, I do not have the stand, so hopefully I will get one in the future. But that's it for his accessories. So now we're going to take another look at the close-ups of the figure. Look at some of the paint and some of the sculpt work. As far as the sculpt work goes, this figure is absolutely amazing. The fur looks really good. Some of the work on the scarring that he has is just fantastic. And the glistening on that paintwork on those scars looks great. It just looks like he's still bleeding, like he's just got out of a fight. Just looks awesome. His chest has a really good leathery texture to represent his skin, and it does definitely differentiate between the fur and his actual skin. So it's really nice. The hands on here also, I forgot, closed fists. Very nice. Kind of like a chest beating feel. Back looks great, some more scarring. And then there's his ass, so. Bottom of the feet look really good. No complaints there. So I can focus in on there. A little bit less detail work, but I mean, it's the bottom of his feet, so what do you expect? But yeah, overall, the sculpt, the paint just looks great on this figure. Definitely more consistent than some of the Godzilla figures I've seen, and definitely the ones I have, so just an overall, just a great looking figure. I'm really happy with it. I have him on the shelf next to all my other King Kong figures. Do keep him separate from the Godzilla figures. And the main reason for that is that he does not scale with any of the Godzilla figures. Any of them at all. He absolutely dwarfs all the ones that I have. For instance, here's the 2014 Spitfire Godzilla. I understand that he's up in the pose, you know, he's up on his back legs, so it makes him a lot taller, but he just absolutely dwarfs him. And the 1964 non-emergence Godzilla, which is dwarfed by this guy, looks absolutely tiny next to the King Kong. So he does not scale with the Godzilla figures, so I keep him over with the other King Kong stuff, which those are the X Plus figures in the background I was able to get off eBay. Just another example. Here's the Monsterarts Gamera figure. And he just absolutely dwarfs them. So I tend not to keep him on that shelf, just for that reason. So, well, that is pretty much it for the review. I don't go in as much detail as a lot of people, because to be perfectly honest, I don't know as much about figures as some of these guys. I don't know the different types of joints. I do know swivel joints and all that good stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much the review of this figure. It's a great figure. I absolutely love it. However, in the future, I do hope that we do get some more King Kong figures from Monsterarts, Tamashi Nations. I would like to see a 1933 Kong, which would be amazing since that is my favorite version of him. However, I don't see that happening just due to rights issues and everything. Another one that I would enjoy would be the Kong Skull Island. Would be good. I think that'd be a really interesting looking figure. I think that it has some really nice accessories and different faces and everything to go with it. That would be great. And also, I would like to see a Toho King Kong, whether that be King Kong Escapes or King Kong vs. Godzilla. I know that it was not the best looking, but I really think that would be a great figure and could have lots of different articulation and different sculpt work that would just look really great, and you could use some poses, and it would scale with the Godzilla figures. So I think that would be awesome. So just keep my fingers crossed, I guess, and hope that they eventually do some of them. Well, this is the end of the first review. I hope you enjoyed it. I think the next review I will go over the two figures in the background, which are the X Plus King Kong and X Plus Tyrannosaurus Rex. although it is an Allosaurus, not actually a Tyrannosaurus Rex. So hopefully I'll see you guys in the next video. I'm not going to do that like and subscribe begging shit. If you like it, watch my next video. So have a good day, everyone, and hopefully see you next time.